try speaking.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, guys, I'm here at Tinley X. Oh, you moved away way too fast. Redo that.
Okay.
This is a learning thing.
Yep.
Ready, go. I don't know if you guys can guess what that is, but that is none other than a captive bred ogre face spider by none other than Marshal's Arachnids over here, who's the original one who gave me the ogre face spiders for my viral videos that you guys love. What we're going to do here at Tinley Park is explain to you guys how we got here and something that he has in the works that I'm quite excited about.
We are here to talk about Project Safety Net. As Johnny mentioned, Johnny is a very passionate keeper, and we kind of go a little further back than Project Safety Net. Johnny approached us a couple Tinleys ago.
Like two.
Yep, two exactly.
2 years ago, because
2 years ago, yeah.
Because that explains how my ogre face spider lived to be like 2.5 years.
That's right. That's perfect. Yep. So we met, and he expressed some interest in our ogre spiders. Just like Johnny, we were very passionate about these animals. This kind of set forth in motion what we're going to talk about today, which is Project Safety Net.
What gave you the idea to do Project Safety Net and why?
So first, let's talk about what Project Safety Net is. It is obviously centered around the Cameroon net casting spider, or the ogre face spider, Asianopus aspectans.
It was previously Dinopus.
Should have remained Dinopus, says me.
Why?
Because, my friend, Dinopus means frightful appearance. And now Asianopus, I'm not sure what that means.
You just taught me something.
And it fits these spiders so well. But that's okay, now Asianopus. Project Safety Net is an initiative to sustain a captive population of Cameroon net casting spiders in captivity.
Originally, when you first started and you first got into it, I had one off of you.
Yep.
My friend bought one. Mine did really well. Theirs didn't do very well. I approached you and I wanted to breed them because I had a mature male, right?
Right, correct.
And then we agreed upon breeding them. I was successful at breeding them.
You were.
Produced a sack. The babies came out the sack. Then I had utter failure.
It's a bit of a learning curve. As you'll learn here, this whole process has been a very big learning curve for both of us, for all of us, really.
We've both taken hits to the heart.
We have, yeah. And that's really what sparked this project moving forward. You may or may not know, there is currently not a lot of these animals in captivity. At the time when we decided to do this project, there were none. Both of our animals, they kind of reached the end of their life. We had some interesting occurrences, which we'll talk about. And then moving forward, we were like, okay, we love these animals. It's very clear there is a demand for these animals in the United States. What's the next step, and how do we do this right? And that's enter Project Safety Net. We wanted to acquire a group of imports from Cameroon. We didn't want to sell them. We didn't want to market them. We didn't want to do anything with them other than keep them and maintain a breeding colony to start this project.
I like it. I also like the artwork. The artwork behind me here is quite amazing. Like that's great.
Thank you, man. So we have some artists that we like. I want to give a shout out to Brian Surway really quick. He did the art for Project Safety Net, and he did the art behind us. If you guys want to give him a look up on Instagram or his website, bsurway.com, please check him out. This project to me is more than just the animals. It's like a whole vibe. These animals present a really unique vibe, a feel. They have a really beautiful look. They're like a novelty animal. It all kind of goes together in this package that encompasses Project Safety Net.
Yeah. They are very novelty animals, but I will have to say they are quite interactive. Like if you were to interact with them, they play like giant dead sticks. Like you can flip it like a door.
Yeah.
Like just a door and flip them over, and they're like, I'm a stick.
Yeah, they got to play dead. They have
play
some
dead.
really unique defense mechanisms, and in addition to their hunting mechanism, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah, why don't we just spurt random facts about ogre face spiders? So you do one, I do one.
Okay.
And we'll see if each of us knew it.
Sure. The name netcaster comes from their method of hunting prey. These animals spin what is an actual net. They don't necessarily throw it, but they use it kind of like this. They kind of like jet it forward and they catch the prey, and then that silk actually fuses to the chitin of the prey item. So they use it as a form of catching prey. Like similar to an orb weaver will spin the circle, but these animals actually hold it. It's quite flexible and they expand it. They can get quite wide. When they're holding it, it looks very thin, but underneath all those folds, it's a net. And that's what they use to grab the prey.
Yeah, it's like a complicated knitted structure, like your grandma's Afghan.
Yeah, it's
like literally.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a work of art.
To add to what he said about them, it's pretty cool. Netcasters will take an object inside their cage and anchor the points and knit that web, and then carefully fold it and store it each and every night until it gets used up to the point where they eat it and then they recycle it.
So they will actually come back to their net once the night falls, which is really cool. Sometimes they'll throw it up and throw it away, and then they'll go to a new spot and form a new net if that old hunting place didn't work. That's really cool behavior. It's fun to watch.
Another fact I know about them, and I'm not going to go on a common one, it's the fact that they're quite smart with their technically small nerve brain system. They will take their self in the center point and drop directly straight down and then flip themselves completely 180 and drop 2 drops of poop on a cork.
It's fun to watch.
And
cool.
They will line up their eye of sight on that cork, and when some prey item flies right across that, it goes right down on top of it, like bullet reaction skills.
It's incredible. Yeah, I want to add one more fact too. A very unique anatomical or physiological feature that these animals have are their 2 forward-facing eyes. And that's where the name ogre face comes from. That's the other half of their name. These eyes are very unique. At sunset, these animals will actually build a membrane, a photosensitive membrane in the eyeball, and that is to refract light in low light conditions. Studies have been done that actually show this is specifically to catch ground prey items, so animals that are crawling around on the ground on the surfaces of sticks and other features in their habitat. When the sun rises, that photomembrane dissolves, so they actually break it down, and then they just repeat this process night after night. And to me, I just think that is so cool. It's wicked. It's
no wonder they're so angry. They're going
they
blind every day.
Yeah, that's very frustrating.
Yeah. And news for you guys, when I do the light in front of my camera for my ogre face to get that nice image for you, I am not burning out its retina. It's UV rays that degrade the photosynthetic layer.
Right. A lot of these behaviors really happen when the sun starts to set, so it is still daylight too when these animals kind of spring into action. They'll sit still all day long, they kind of look like a twig, and they kind of spring into action and start spinning their net.
Another thing I heard, I will confirm this with you and see if it's true, they have wicked good hearing.
In a sense, yes, and this is actually proven. They've done studies. They're very good at sensing frequencies, specific vibrations. So, and you'll see this too in captivity. They will position themselves with their nets, and they might not necessarily be over a structure. They'll just be in the air. And that's because, in addition to their beautiful eyesight, they're very sensitive to what they believe are like the vibration of wings. And they will throw their nets upward to catch aerial prey items, which that's
interesting.
That is true.
I would love to catch it on video.
I can help you with that.
I know, but I also noticed that if we use infrared cameras, they don't want to move. Like, they can see it.
I mean, when you look at their eyes, you kind of imagine there's probably a lot of photosensitivity and other wavelengths going on there. They're probably very sensitive to all forms of radiation.
Also, I can add that they have 8 eyeballs.
They do have more than just 2.
Yeah, they don't just have those 2. They have 8 eyeballs.
They do.
They're like literally directly below on the cheeks. You can see them.
They're also on the top of the head too, right behind those the supraorbital little points that they have. They're back there.
Such complicated creatures. And just to think, also another fact is all spiders have muscles that pull inwards, and their heart is what controls their outward motion by a hydraulic pump. The faster that pump moves, the faster those arm moves.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's wild.
So imagine trying to move 8 arms. It's hard enough moving 4.
I agree.
Like 4 limbs?
4 limbs? I know. I imagine 8. I know.
And then controlling 8 eyeballs and 8 limbs.
And with such precision too. Like, that's the cool thing about most spiders is they're like little instruments. They're very good at what they do.
I don't know about your knitting skills. Mine aren't great.
I'm not good at any of it. No, not at all.
I just lift things up and I put them down.
That's right. That's right. I try. I try to do that, and I'm not really good at that either. So, yeah.
I evolved to this.
Yes, with no effort.
Hey, I took some effort, many years.
Okay.
Don't take that from me.
He's just naturally a big guy. Okay.
Alrighty, so we're going to talk about Project Safety Net, right?
Cool. Let's do it.
So we both have this passion and care for these animals, correct? We both very much admire these things.
Yep.
And we want to see them be in the hobby and not taken from the wild, right?
Correct. That's the goal.
So that's where Project Safety Net bloomed.
Yes. And not just our fascination with the animals, but also the demand. They're very popular. They're unique characteristics. People really want them. They like them. They want them as pets.
So with Project Safety Net, one of your main goals is to make it ethically available to the common hobbyist.
Yep.
With all the kinks wrinkled out. So the animals have the proper husbandry, proper lifespans, proper care. Nobody wants to just buy an animal and just sell it to them and have it die off.
Correct. Yeah, so in Project Safety Net, it's more than just a captive sustainment project. So the goal number 1 is to decrease the demand for wild caught. no more imports. We want to sustain them in captivity for the U.S. But also, Project Safety Net, it's going to be a communal group effort. And we can kind of talk about that too and the ways that we're going to...
Yeah, that'll be later on. We'll go over some of our headaches we went through.
Yeah, there were many.
So I'll go with one of mine. When I produced the egg sac, I let it wait 60 days, and then I cut the egg sac open with a razor blade intricately, like Marshall suggested, because we didn't know if the mother chewed it open or the babies chewed it open. Because if you get one of these sacs, they are like a strong acorn.
It's like a marble.
Yeah. It is quite impressive that female can spin that many different types of silk.
Yes, it takes them a while, but even so, when you get it in your hand, it's like a little rock.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're like, how do these tiny little babies get out on their own, if that's even possible? Does mom do it with her much bigger fangs? We don't know. Is there a environmental trigger that softens the egg sac? We didn't know.
We don't know if the babies eating the inside of the sac help them prosper even better, like more vitality, more mortality rate.
Yeah, decrease mortality.
If it's like some type of nutrients or something.
Yep, yeah. It was all an open question.
So then Marshall had more sacs, let one go full term to see and experiment how it would work, and lo and behold, I get a text from Marshall. He goes, they do chew out the egg without the parent. And It was impressive.
Yeah, found that out really by accident. We were running several experiments with moisture, and then we left some with mom, but it just so happened that the oldest egg sac we had, the babies chewed a perfectly cylindrical hole, and they all exited on their own. So we right now are hypothesizing that there's a protein or something like that in the venom that kind of degrades the surface of the egg sac, and they're able to get out. But confirmed.
That is a pretty gnarly protein, because that is multiple layers.
Dude,
like there's that soft, fuzzy inside, which is cushiony. Then there's that little harder layer, then a harder layer, then a harder layer, then that crazy external layer.
Yeah.
It's like a insanely hard onion.
It is. Yep. But the babies somehow, one way or another, they figure it out. So that way, we confirmed that at the very least.
Another thing was, I would always talk back and forth with you with what was going on with my pair. You remember Aragog? And I was like, hey man, Aragog's sitting and he's got a net. What do I do? You're like, feed him. So I'm like, okay. I feed him, week goes by, I'm like, hey, he's still got a net, man. You're like, feed him again. I'm like, all right, I do it, and I fed him again, and you're like, dude, he's hungry, isn't he? I'm like, yeah. And I go, he's still got a net. He goes, feed him again. So I feed him again, and I come back one day, and I send a pic to Marshall, and I go, this is bad. And he goes, oh God. Aragog decides to do a post-ultimate molt. So he molted after his ultimate molt, and then turned into this disfigured demon.
It was wild. So yeah, like the animal matured, sexually matured, which at that rate, historically, the animals don't make nets. And I don't think I had communicated that to you, but...
You did afterwards.
Okay.
You're like, yeah, you said are you sure he's ultimate molt? I'm like, dude, he has the boxing gloves on the front.
Yeah, and their legs, and also once the males mature, they're freakishly long, extremely long legs. They have a unique look to them, but I didn't know that up until I had asked the question, like, are you sure he's mature? Because
it's a fan.
Because he shouldn't be doing this. So that's very interesting.
Yeah,
very unique.
And then sadly, Aragog molted to this disfigured demon. I'll send you guys a picture and show him. In this picture, he was still alive. I couldn't do anything about him to get him to even move, do anything, because physically he was not able to do anything.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I've never seen that in my collection.
He didn't bleed out, nothing. He was still alive, and I felt bad for the guy. Yeah. Like his legs, instead of being like 2 inches long, were like 4.5 inches long.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, they're already so long for their little bodies.
Yeah.
I could only imagine.
Now on to the babies. Yeah. So I had the babies. We kept them with spag moss, with a grate, with a bunch of wood, and I had a pressed top Tupperware lid.
Okay.
And it was silicone. I would frequently look at the babies, see how they are, see when they're molting, drop in some fruit flies. I had a little hole in the top for the fruit flies, dump them in there with a cool Repesci or Lugardia, whatever.
Yeah, like, a little condiment
squirter bottle, squirt them in there.
Yep.
Best way to do it, guys, you have all those little fruit flies. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch all over you when you're like trying to do things, sucking them in, snorting them in. It's not, it's horrible.
It's so true.
I just got like chills doing that.
I know, man, they're everywhere.
But I kept noticing that the babies would go into the lid on the outside.
Squeeze through the tiniest little crevice.
Yeah, it didn't matter if it was an airflow vent or anything. As soon as they felt a little bit of air, those babies would go into the outside. I thought someone was opening up my container and squishing my babies, so I was getting very upset. Now, I was making sure no one touched them. The babies did the same thing until they were all gone, and it was very sad. Turns out, Marshall had found out.
It's very interesting. Once the babies leave the egg sac, they are second instars. And then we figured out that that behavior, depending on their surroundings, is quite common. We were experiencing that as well. I think I mentioned that in some other content we released. But to combat that, what we did is we used no-see mesh. It's a really fine mesh, and we kind of put that in between these containers and the lids that prevented that. Yeah, so that was another hurdle that we overcame. The next hurdle with the babies, the animals started growing, they molted to third. Now when these babies molt to third instar, that's when they start eating. They start making their own nets. And in the wild, in second instar, they do, I don't know if you noticed this with your babies, but at second instar, they kind of make this communal
they made a group, and they had this big, complicated, like
intricate
communal net. What he didn't add to it was the net. When they have the net, it's literally smack dab on the top.
Yes.
As high as they can go. So I'm guessing when they're smaller in the wild, they go as high as they can go in the treetop and hide there.
Yeah, there's probably less predation up there among the bark and the foliage and things like that. So that makes total sense. And then, so once we got past that hurdle, the next hurdle was third instar. So historically, it was always very simple. They are hungry, they need to eat. So we would continuously fill the containers with flies, give them plenty of prey items to eat, but we couldn't help but notice over time there was still die-off at that instar. So that was the next hurdle we had to overcome.
And it's kind of interesting to see, like, you'd see 50 to 100 babies inside this communal group, and no cannibalization.
No, absolutely not. They do not eat
none at all. Like they literally did not eat each other.
Yep.
As much as I thought they would, like a widow, and just cannibalize until they have the alpha.
Right.
No alphas.
Correct. We knew that they were not eating each other because otherwise we would see it in their nets. We would catch that. And then after a couple of phone calls and some communication with some folks overseas, we learned that once they reach that point, that's in the wild when these animals would separate naturally. So it's our turn to separate them in much smaller groups into larger containers. So groups of like 2, 3, 4, 5 in larger containers so that they didn't have that communal pressure anymore. So that was the next hurdle.
Now my question is for you, like with your experimentation, because I didn't get to experiment too much with this.
Yeah.
I was grabbing those taller square lid containers with the click lid, putting them in those. Do you see any benefit between dram vials and then square containers?
That's a good question. We have experimented with all of those things. Square containers, round deli cups, vials. I think what it comes down to is individual space. It doesn't necessarily matter. Once they reach this stage and they start eating, the problem where we were getting caught in lids really goes away, and it all comes down to individual space and freedom to hunt and make their own nets.
Now that we got like a bunch of the kinks worked out for a lot of people, you're going to have intricate, almost foolproof spiderlings sent to the people. Available.
Yeah. So starting out, we're going to do this in stages. So Project Safety Net, the first installment of babies that will be released to the public, we're planning to release sexed animals. So at least 6th instar, probably 7th and 8th. It will probably command a little bit of a higher price tag, but here's the reason we're doing that. We want to give the folks who really want to contribute to the project. We're really focusing on breeders at this point because
hobbyists.
Hobbyists that are serious about it, just as we are, and want to contribute to the breeding effort. That's very important for the longevity of the project. We'll be doing that ourselves, but in order for this to work, we need to create a bit of a network.
Yes.
So that's
safety
the first
net.
A safety net,
Project Safety Net,
if you will, a safety net.
That was a male, guys. That was a male.
But that's the whole. So that will be the first step in the project, I think, is releasing sexed animals to people who want to breed, so breeders.
We'll go over what people are going to get when they first order from you. By the way, it's not going to be just buy on the site. He's going to have a waiting list. He has a waiting list right now. Currently, if you want it, check out Marshal's Arachnids. Look for Ogre Face Spider, and there's a waiting list that you can sign up for. It's first come, first serve.
We actually, at the top of the webpage, we do have a category, Project Safety Net. It's its own thing. It's right at the top of the page, and there you'll find everything related to the project. So that's where you'll find the spiders.
All right, so for the first-time hobbyist that might be lucky enough to get on your waiting list in the right order, because it's first come, first serve, don't fret, because he has something for you guys.
So, like I said, the way we're going to stagger this, we're going to appeal to the breeders first, but I don't want people to get frustrated or think that we can't provide you with your animals. So, Project Safety Net, up until this point, has been very successful. We have plenty of babies. we just need to think about the longevity of the project first. But after that, we will start releasing smaller but still eating crickets, unsexed animals for you guys. So again, that will come a little bit later. They will have a little bit of a lower price tag. We will have enough for everyone. Everyone that wants an ogre spider will get one. So
but you're also going to provide them with a complete kit to a certain extent of like Instar.
Yeah, so on the product page, under Project Safety Net, when you go to buy your spider, there's going to be a drop-down menu where you guys can purchase complete care kits if you want. So we'll have the enclosure, all the decor you need, harvested from our property, because again, these animals really like natural things like sticks and twigs and leaves. We have a complete care kit, so if you guys want to get into the ogre spiders, everything that you will need will be provided as an option for you as well.
It's basically bulletproof for the common hobbyist as long as you follow this detail to detail, because we went through the hardships and
we figured it out.
We figured out most of it.
Most of it. Yeah. And with that too, not at the time of this video when it gets released, but at the time of release of the animals, we will have a complete care guide content for you as well. We'll have a video on the product page you guys can watch and see how we keep them, how we feed them, and all that stuff. So
one of the things that's going to help him in his success is the fact that you guys get these fancy cards. And what is this card?
Yep, so this card, with every spider that goes out, on this card you're going to have a hatch date, you're going to have the gender, a group number, which is a unique identifier that pertains to the female that laid the sack that your baby will come from, and then also our contact information. And the whole idea behind that is that kind of enters you into the project if you want to participate. So you know specifically how old your animal is, and then the group number. And the group number is important because of genetic diversity. We want to pair animals that are unrelated.
Yeah, so you're going to find out which generation you have and which genetics can be mixed. This way they don't hit a genetic bottleneck, which is almost impossible with spiders, but he still wants to have genetic diversity, continue the project. This way you don't have a die-off randomly.
Yeah, at this stage in the project, I think that's critical. And because we can do it, why not do it?
Yeah, because you have select amount of parent donors right now.
Yeah, we have, so from the babies that we have about 19 different females, which means theoretically 19 different bloods.
That's quite diverse, considering for arachnids.
Yep.
This is a big labor of love for you because you invested a lot of time, blood, sweat, tears, money, and then also you have the idea to have a private database for you for the project.
Yep.
Please explain.
Yep, so it's not just for us, but in addition to the birth certificate card that will go out, we're going to have a database. So every animal that goes out will be logged into a spreadsheet, and what that will do is we'll track basically where every animal goes and what gender and what group number. So down the road, if you guys end up with a certain sex or you want to participate in breeding, we will have information from other hobbyists, obviously as well as ourselves, and we can put you in contact with people who might have the opposite gender or different aged animals, right? So like if your animal matures, eventually, not maybe right away, but eventually this will be staggered. So you can reach out to us and say, I have a male, I have a female, I'm looking for the opposite sex, and I would like to breed. And we can get you in contact with folks who might have the opposite sex that you might need. So.
Also, you have the option we were talking about that Marshall may need breeder females or a breeder male, and he will opt out and trade you for another animal if you're willing to do so.
Yes. So if you have a certain gender and you're looking for something else, or if you have a mature male and you're looking for another pet and we need a mature male, we'll send you a spider free of charge, and we'll take your mature male and you can essentially start over with a fresh unsexed baby or something like that. So
yeah, I think that's a great idea because then it makes people want to participate in the program because it's like almost like a revolving pet spider that you don't lose, because I know it's heartbreaking to me when I lost my spider at 2.5 years. That was devastating.
Every time we lose one, it can be tough, but that's kind of the reality we face with true spiders.
On that subject of them, when you know you're losing them, the females will stop building webs, and then you can put crickets in their mouth. They will eat them eventually, then eventually reject them, and then you know it's downhill from there. Yep. It's sad.
That's just the natural order of things. But, the goal, obviously, with this, if you want a pet, that's wonderful. You're like, we want to provide you with a healthy, happy pet. But if you want to continue the project and let the legacy live on, so to speak, we want to give you the opportunity to do so. And the cards in the database are one way to do that. So
these guys are like the ultimate hide-and-seek predators, though. Like, literally, I can see her when she's in hunting mode, and then when it's not hunting mode, they hide, and it's literally like
They blend in.
Where's Waldo?
Yeah. So we use a lot of dead leaves, and when they camouflage in with those dead leaves, they're hard to find, but it seems to make them feel safe and comfortable. So, but they're amazing.
All right, guys. Hopefully that concludes enough of the ogre face spider to you guys, and I didn't bore you, or Marshall didn't bore you, because that's a lot of word vomit information that we gave to you.
A lot of nerd talk.
Yeah. So this episode on my channel is sponsored by Tarantula Clips, and Marshall works closely with Tarantula Clips. As you can see, Marshall has his own signature variant, the purple box, which is pretty cool to work with a company that sponsors me and also get supported by him. So please support this guy right here, Marshall's Arachnids. He's the reason why we have ogre face spiders and have Project Safety Net. So please help his dream come alive. Marshall, what do you have to say?
I just want to say thank you everyone so much for your patience. Obviously, shout out Tarantula Clips. Thank you, Mo, again for working with us and bringing our purple box to life. Please be patient with us. Ogre face spiders are coming. Promise is right around the corner. They're coming. Just please be patient. Johnny,
why did I get all worked up?
Hold on. John, hold on. I want to say thank you, man. Thank you so much for supporting Marshal Arachnids. Thank you so much for supporting Project Safety
Dude, you
Net.
supported me, man, because I asked you and you went out on a limb and literally gave me a female because you saw my passion and my devotion. There we go, my devotion to it, because I would always post reels and tag in the reels.
Yeah.
By the way, this guy does not answer messages at all.
It's not personal,
dude,
everyone. We're just bad at social media.
He's very bad at social media. We got to teach this guy some things. Like, I'm learning myself. Marshall needs to learn too. So I'm going to teach him along the way. But his wife Jess is very, very good at answering messages for customers. So don't be afraid to message her. Please do so. If you have any questions about anything, she will gladly answer them. Not this guy.
That's right. Please forward all of your concerns to Jessica. Yeah, man. Like you said, this is a give and take, and thank you so much for everything that you do for us, and thank you for everyone for your patience. John, I have one more thing before we go here.
What's that?
My man, you have been just a tremendous help, and I do appreciate your passion. And my friend here, I have 2 unrelated ogre face spiders for you to pick up where you left off. And
so that means I'm officially part of Project Safety Net?
You are part of Project Safety Net. You always have been. And I do appreciate your support.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I really do, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
you have 2 kiddos here. They're both eating. They're very healthy. They're both they're different ages from different parents. So you are frontline Project Safety Net. Did you
awesome.
see that? That was so cool. She just stretched her net.
Yep.
So
she's
cool.
throwing her net.
We could not plan that if we planned.
So that means this is officially the first released pair.
Well, yes. To you.
To me.
Yeah.
That's awesome, guys. Please pay attention. Please like and subscribe for future content on these guys right here, and I'll inform you guys later on. I'll do a collab with Marshall on a care video, and we're gonna help boost his channel too. So please follow this guy. Please follow the journey that we have with this. I am so stoked, man. Thank you so much.
No, man, thank you. I appreciate it. And everyone, we love you so much. Thank you for your patience. Ogres are coming soon.